Yeah, so could you please just introduce yourselves?
So, my name is Mateusz and I'm a principal narrative designer on Gwent.
And I'm Brad Orty, and I'm an animator on Gwent.
Yeah, so could you just shortly tell our viewers what Gwent is about?
Yeah, so Gwent is it's a card game, a collectible card game set in the Witcher universe. It's a digital card game, multiplayer competitive card game. And it's you build your own deck, you play across 3 rounds, and at the start of the match you're going to get 10 cards. And for those 3 rounds, it's up to you what you do with those cards. You can play them in any order you want, but once you run out of cards, you run out of cards. So it's very tactical. It's about bluffing, deception, and trying to trick your opponent into making mistakes so you can storm in and win the game.
And what I would add is that there are no other resources. The cards are your only resource. There is no mana, nothing like this. Basically, the cards you get at the beginning, you have to stick with them through those 3 rounds.
Yeah, back in The Witcher 3, Gwent was quite a surprise for the gamers. Could you talk a little bit about how you created the game inside the game?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. Witcher 3 was quite a surprise. Could you tell us a little bit more about how you invented Gwent?
Oh yes. So basically, when we started working on The Witcher 3, we knew we wanted to have a special minigame in our game. So in the previous games, we had the dice poker, which was really cool, and people liked it, but we thought that we could do something with more depth to it. So, we started thinking about different ideas for the minigame, and, we always liked card games, so we thought, why not a card game, right? We loved it in other RPGs, like Knights of the Old Republic, for example, or, for example, in Might and Magic, they had the Acromage card game. So basically, we wanted to come up with one, and we brainstormed a lot, we were thinking about different rule sets, and at some point, and one of our gameplay designers, Damien Monnier, came up with this idea for this specific rule set we're using right now. And that's how it started.
So after the people got to enjoy Gwent, they went crazy, like it's the best thing ever invented. How did you react to the hype Gwent got?
That's why this game exists right now. That's why we're here at Gamescom, right? It's like the community just wanted a standalone version of it. And I think we always knew Gwent was cool. Like, we loved Gwent a lot internally. But you don't know until you release it out into the wild, like what the reaction's going to be. And honestly, we hope people will like it, but I don't think we expected the demand for the standalone. But yeah, after we got all these emails and people making their own versions and things like that, we just had to make a standalone version. So since then, we've just been working on we didn't just want to do a straight port, right? We didn't want to take Gwent from Wild Hunt and just make it multiplayer and call it done. We wanted to make the best version of Gwent we can make, and that's what we've been doing.
Yep.
Yeah, so actually the community was the reason why you even created Gwent, the standalone game. But doing a standalone is quite different than doing a minigame. What did you essentially had to change?
So basically, we had to rebalance the whole game. We had to add new cards, we had to add new abilities. Basically, most cards in Witcher Wild Hunt, they were pure values. Right now, most of our cards have something special about them, some special abilities that are unique for them. And we have added a lot of those. We have added rules to the deck building. So basically, in The Witcher, you could have, for example, added as many hero cards as you wanted into your deck. In Gwent Standalone, you can add up to 4 heroes to your deck. So these were the changes in the mechanics of the game. But we have also changed a lot of the visual side. So, for example, we have added a lot in terms of UI. Right now, you already can see that we have added a lot of simplifications for the players. So you can see the zoomed-in card all the time, like the tooltips of the abilities and so on. You don't have to zoom in every time. And also, we have redrawn all the illustrations for the cards and added these cool premium cards, which actually Brad is working on.
Yeah, that's something I'm really excited about, like the whole art team. I think the designers, programmers, everyone, like the artwork we're making for the cards for Gwent right now, like we're working with in my opinion, some of the best illustrators in the world, really, like to make these. And you can see a bunch on the wall right now and some around the booth. And they do an amazing job of telling the story of the character in like a really cool way. And some are really interesting, like the Geralt Igni one, where we show the skill as well, like that the card has through the illustration. And what we're doing with the premium versions is we're trying to bring those illustrations to life in a cool way with like animation, VFX, 3D. And we want to give people that ultimate shiny Pokemon card version of the Gwent card so they can like show off when they play it in game and like slam it on the table and it's all animated and cool. So it's really, really important for us to have that.
Okay, that just sounds amazing. When I finished, when I played The Witcher 3, I haven't finished it. I wanted a standalone Gwent game, right from the first match. But I thought if you would make one, we would get a Gwent game where you could play against the CPU or online. But you also decided to include a story mode. Could you tell us a little bit more about that one?
So, yes, I mean, this is something we really thought we wanted to do because, you know, we are known for making good stories with choices and consequences which are very, important, like impactful to the game world. And, that's what we went with. Basically, you... in our campaigns, you play as a leader of an army. You build up your army as you go through the campaign. And you encounter the choices and consequences in shades of grey, like in the Witcher series. And basically, those are the untold stories from the Witcher universe. They are filling, they are filling like the spaces in between the books, the games, and they are not a direct continuation of the Witcher trilogy, but I think they will. Give you some more insight into the Witcher universe as a whole.
Yeah, did the short stories from the author of The Witcher somehow evolved into the stories from the card game?
Well, right now we don't want to talk too much about the specific stories, but some of our stories are influenced by the books, obviously. And I guess you'll have to wait and see.
I'm very excited for that. So when we talk about the cards, you also said there will be premium cards, but how many new cards will there be in contrast to the Witcher 3 Gwent? And do you think on releasing new games after the game has actually launched, on new cards after the game has actually actually launched?
The plan is absolutely to support the game long term. So like you're going to see new faction in Nilfgaard's going to be introduced soon. To answer how many more cards there are, there's lots more cards. There's like a lot of cool new abilities. We're playing around with interactions between cards, new skills that will feel familiar to players who played Gwent in Wild Hunt, but they'll also feel super fresh. And one thing that's really important for us is to have each faction have like a unique identity and like a unique playstyle. But within each faction, you're going to have a lot of variety and a lot of depth to come up with your own personal playstyle. We get some really cool decks come up in the office, and the ones we've brought to Gamescom are actually really interesting. I like the Skellige one a lot. I was a Scoia'tael fan before I started playing with these particular decks, but what would you say your favorite right now?
Skellige as well, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, so Team Skellige.
Yeah, they work a lot with the graveyard. They bring a lot of stuff back, and it gives you very cool possibilities.
So lots of new stuff to look for, and when people start playing the closed beta, it's October 25th. We're going to be launching a closed beta on Xbox One and PC. So if everyone goes to playgwent.com, signs up, hopefully we get as many of those people as we can in the closed beta. They're going to be able to play around with the different factions and just see which ones suit their playstyle, really.
Great to hear about that. So with the release of The Witcher standalone, players will be able to battle other players for the first time. How challenging was it for you to provide this online mode, both technically and balancing-wise?
I mean, like I said before, we had to rebalance all the cards. We had to introduce those additional rules to the deck building. But also, I mean, obviously there is this whole technical side of the servers and matchmaking and all the features that are needed for the online version of the game, right? I mean, a lot of those features we are still working on, and of course, it's a huge challenge for our whole, programmers team. But I think they're doing a good job so far.
We work with like super smart people, like geniuses on our team. So like it's new for CD Projekt Red to be doing this scale of multiplayer game, but like we've got some very smart people working on it.
Yeah, exactly, and the gameplay designers as well. They are pretty good at what they're doing. So we're optimistic about it.
That's great. So we just heard that the game itself will be free to play. Could you explain a little bit more what is free to play and for what you have to pay? And again, a question with the stories. Will you also add new ones, like the cards after launch?
So, in a nutshell, you basically the stories will be paid because it's 10 plus hours of gameplay with full voiceovers and a lot of new character models, cards, and so on. So another thing is the card packs for the multiplayer, but those you can buy with either the in-game currency or with real money. As for the new stories, it depends on the how people will respond to this. So I mean, if people like it, for sure we will provide. We will make new ones. If they want, we want.
I mean, I guess as well, I just want to add, you asked like what the players have to pay for, and that's kind of like really important for us, that you shouldn't have to pay for anything, right? Like you should be able to enjoy this game free to play, and it's really important. It's part of what the designers are working on, really, is to make sure the cards are so balanced, all the cards are viable, so that even if you're working with that starter set of cards, you're going to be competitive against these people who have maybe spent a bit more money and built the deck that they wanted. They're not going to have an advantage over you. It's completely down to how you play the cards you've got. It's way more like about you are the wild card, right? It's completely down to you. You're going to decide if you win that match or not.
Yeah, this all sounds great, and I think players, basing on the reactions your community already has, will be overwhelmed by this new game. We've got one last question, and it's a little bit more personal. Who's your favorite character in the Witcher series and why?
You're going to give a more interested answer than me, I think. You know what the characters inside it.
Well, okay, so personally, I really like Philippa Eilhart because she's this manipulative, sorceress that, pulls all the strings, and she's very clever and witty and so on. I know that a lot of people hate her because, she's been witty towards the player. But I really enjoyed her as a character, and I really like the voiceover actor that basically she did a great job, I think. So and I liked her in the books as well.
I'm actually playing Hearts of Stone right now, and I really like Olgierd. Like, it's a really cool character, and I've been speaking to the guys here about him and like the influences, where he came from, as far as like apparently he's a very typical like Slavic character in his style.
Polish aristocrat.
Yeah, exactly. So like he's super interesting for me because, coming from UK, we're not really exposed to this kind of character so much. So yeah, all good for me.
Well, I just have to say thank you. Thank you for the great interview. We're really looking forward to this, and I think our community also is really thrilled to finally experience Gwent, hopefully in the beta already. Thank you.